Hey, Jason here from Simply Swider. So if your Whirlpool dryer is running but not heating up, don't worry. In this video, I'm going to show you exactly how to fix it. Good news is most of these fixes are going to save you way more money than calling someone like me out to your house. Before we get started, if you run into any questions, jump into our Facebook group. Links in the description. We've got thousands of people helping each other fix their appliances, and I pop in there daily to help out. All right, so here's what happens with these no heat situations. Your dryer's running and tumbling normally, but after a full cycle, your clothes are coming out damp, cold, or just as wet as when you put them in. You might also notice the dryer feels cool to the touch instead of warm. I see this all the time, and it's usually one of six things: heating element, thermal fuse, thermostat issues, gas valve problems, or something as simple as a clogged lint screen. Safety first, people. Unplug that dryer before we start digging around in there. Let's start with the most common culprit, the heating element. Now, here's the thing about electric dryers. They've got this heating element that's basically a bunch of wire coils inside a metal housing. When one of those coils breaks, game over for your heat. I had this customer with a Whirlpool dryer that was blowing nothing but cold air. We popped open the back panel, and sure enough, you could see where one of those coils had snapped right in half. That's your smoking gun right there. You can see me checking this right here on the screen. The heating element sits in the heater housing at the back of the drum. Pull off that access panel and look for any obvious breaks or burnt connections. Then grab your multimeter, set it to the continuity or ohm setting, and place the probes on each terminal of the heating element. A working element should read between 10 to 50 ohms. If it's reading infinite resistance or oil on your meter, that element's toast. Now, replacing the heating element's gonna run you about 20 to 60 bucks for the part, way cheaper than calling someone like me out for a service call. The wiring connections can sometimes just be loose or burnt, and those you can fix, but if the coils are broken, you're looking at a replacement. Another thing that'll kill your heat is the thermal fuse. This little guy's like the bodyguard for your dryer. When things get too hot, it sacrifices itself to protect the rest of the machine. The tricky part is when this fuse blows, sometimes your dryer keeps running but just won't heat up. Other times it shuts the whole thing down. You'll find this fuse on the blower housing right next to the heating element. I remember this lady called me about her dryer that was tumbling fine but not drying anything. First thing I checked was that thermal fuse, and yep, blown. $5 part, but it had her thinking she needed a whole new dryer. To test it, first unplug your dryer, then carefully disconnect both wire terminals from the thermal fuse. Set your multimeter to continuity mode and touch one probe to each terminal on the fuse itself. A good fuse will beep or show zero resistance. If it's blown, you'll get no reading or infinite resistance. Replace it with the exact same part number. They're usually between 5 and 15 bucks. But here's what's important. That fuse didn't blow for no reason. Something caused your dryer to overheat in the first place, so you got to figure out what that was or you'll just blow another fuse. Most people don't realize their Whirlpool dryer actually has two different thermostats working together. You've got your cycling thermostat that turns the heat on and off to maintain temperature, and your high limit thermostat that shuts everything down if things get too hot. When either one of these fails, you're going to lose your heat. The cycling thermostat is constantly working during normal operation, so it tends to wear out more often. The high limit is more of a safety backup, but when it fails, it can leave you with no heat at all. Both of these are going to be mounted on the blower housing near your heating element. Test each one for continuity. They should show a complete circuit when they're working properly. If either one fails the test, replace it. They're pretty cheap, usually $7 to $12 each. Don't make the mistake of only replacing one if you find a bad thermostat. When you're already in there, it's worth checking both since they work so closely together. For those of you with gas dryers, we've got a completely different animal here. Your gas dryer uses these solenoid coils to open and close the gas valve. Most Whirlpool gas dryers have two or more of these solenoids working together. Here's how you can tell if these are your problem. Watch your igniter. If it glows bright orange for a few seconds and then just goes out without lighting the gas, your solenoids are likely shot. They're not allowing enough gas through to maintain a flame. This happened to a guy with a Whirlpool Cabrio gas dryer. He said the gas would come on for just a couple seconds every minute or so, then shut right back off. Classic sign of failed solenoids. Now, I gotta tell you, working on gas components requires extra caution and isn't something I recommend for most DIYers. Gas leaks can be dangerous, so if you smell gas at any point or you're not 100% comfortable with gas appliances, this is definitely where you call a professional. But if you do tackle it yourself, shut off that gas supply first and test each solenoid coil for continuity. They usually run 30 to 120 for the set. Sometimes the simplest things cause the biggest headaches. Your lint screen might look clean, but if it's got a film buildup from fabric softener, it's going to restrict airflow just like it was clogged with lint. What happens is your dryer starts heating, but the hot air can't circulate properly. Moisture gets trapped in the drum, and your clothes take forever to dry if they dry at all. Pull that lint screen out and hold it up to the light. If you can't see through it clearly, it needs a good cleaning. Wash it with warm, soapy water and scrub it gently with an old toothbrush. Let it dry completely before putting it back. Here's something most people mess up. Make sure that screen seats properly in its bracket. I've seen dryers that weren't heating well just because the lint screen wasn't pushed all the way down into position. Simple fix, but it'll drive you crazy trying to figure out what's wrong. The last thing to check is your dryer vent. That's the ductwork that carries hot air from your dryer to the outside of your house. When this gets clogged with lint, your dryer can't exhaust properly and it'll overheat and shut down the heating system. Walk outside and check the vent while your dryer's running. You should feel warm air flowing steadily out of that vent. If there's no airflow or just weak puffs of air, you've found your problem. A clogged vent doesn't just stop your dryer from heating, it can actually cause other problems like blowing your thermal fuse from overheating. I had a member in our Facebook community who tested everything on his Gold Duet dryer, but it still wouldn't heat. Turned out the vent was packed solid with lint. You can clean this yourself by disconnecting the vent tubing and using a vent brush or vacuum to clear it out. But honestly, for the 100 to 200 bucks a professional cleaning costs, it's usually worth having it done right. These guys have the tools to get deep into that ductwork. You can see the most affected models displayed on the screen right now, and there's definitely a pattern here. The Duet series and Gold Duet models seem to have more heating issues than others, especially with heating elements and clogged vents. The estate gas dryers tend to have problems with those gas valve solenoids we talked about, and the front load electric models. They're notorious for blown thermal fuses and blocked lint screens. Now, these aren't bad dryers by any means, but if you've got one of these units shown here, you'll want to stay on top of your maintenance. Clean that lint screen after every single load and get that vent cleaned professionally once a year, or every 6 months if you do more than 8 loads per week. Set a reminder on your phone so you don't forget. If you guys know someone who's having appliance troubles, please send them the link to this video or a link to my channel where I have tons of other videos showing how to fix pretty common issues with appliances, sometimes for free or as little cost as possible. It sure beats having a repairman come out and spending several hundred for them to fix it when it could be something so simple. If this helped you get your Whirlpool dryer heating again, hit that like button and drop a comment below telling me which specific fix worked for you and how much money you saved. Your success story helps other viewers know these solutions really work, really helps other people with the same problem. And if you haven't already, please subscribe to the channel. We'll get this out to more folks who need to save some time and money. Thanks for watching, and I hope you guys have a great day.